have basically hung off these and they are not going anywhere.
It conceals the pipes, the pipe concealing.
So it is like it is a bit like icing a cake, I suppose. And then I get sticking. We are Sophandcole, and we're taking our suburban house in Kent, the United Kingdom, and transforming it into a country, cozy family home. We've just installed a new kitchen with absolutely no experience, and today we're going to add in a faux cobblestone wall, and we'll be tiling the backsplash. If you're interested in seeing how we do it, stay tuned. Let's get this wall underway. It's going to be going all the way around the door frame, across the top of the window into this corner here, and hopefully I will also have this tiling finished across the backsplash. Now I've got all the stone here. We've tried to sort of separate them into size piles, so I've obviously got large, medium and small. You can buy these online. They're generally sold by meter squared. I believe these are around 80 to 90 pounds per meter square, but I managed to get this lot, which is about 5 to 6 meters, for £100 off Facebook Marketplace. Someone had obviously bought a few too many, which I have heard is quite common. People tend to overbuy this stuff, but it meant that we got a really good deal. So £100 for all this. Very, very happy. Now, as you can see, it's not real stone. It's like it's kind of a plaster mix, but they've obviously gone into molds that have been molded off real stone. We will be giving them a whitewash once they're up to tone them down. I think actually we did this piece here. This one's had a bit of a whitewash. So it's kind of a soft sort of pinky peach color. Alrighty, so I basically had just done these three here as a bit of a trial just to make sure they'd stick. I did have to put a little base piece of wood there so that they can rest on that. But now that that's there, I can start building up the wall. Because if I just stuck one right in the middle of the wall, it would basically slowly slide down. So hence building just a little base for it to sit on and lean on. I know there's lots of different techniques for this. I've seen people use like a wire mesh, all sorts of stuff. I am just using the primer and then going straight on with the adhesive onto the wall, and then I put a layer onto the stone as well and then stick it on there. And I have basically hung off these and they are not going anywhere. This was left over from our tiling, so great way to use it up. It basically enhances the surface preparation for bonding when we are putting up the stone. So just to give you a rough idea how I map out where the stones are going to go, I basically select a few pieces, and once I'm happy, for example this one, I write 1 and I put a 1 on the back. And then up here, number 2, and so on. Just making sure that you put the number up the way you want the stone to go. So I know number 2 needs to go up like that and onto there. So I get 4 to 6 ready to go up, and then I get sticking. We are making good progress here. Once you kind of get started, it's a reasonably quick process. So I've just clamped in a piece of wood across the bottom here. I'm just using this Rocketex adhesive. This is what I had left over from the limestone tiles that I put on the floor. And I'm only mixing up a small amount at a time, just so there's no sort of time pressure. Now, this is what I'm using. I appreciate there's lots of different methods. People do it different ways. This is working really well for me. This is roughly, I think, 4mm little teeth. People do go bigger. I just find this is giving me a really good stick. So I'll just show you how I prepare the stone to go up. I first just get some water on there. As you can see, it's super porous and you don't want it sucking all the water out of the adhesive. So this should hopefully help with that. And then I go on with the adhesive. So first I just make sure the whole stone is covered. And then a swipe. Alrighty, that looks pretty good to me. Now you can see up on the wall, I've just done the same thing. Put the same amount of adhesive, pretty much where I want the stone to go. Now before I did put that adhesive up, I just want to remind you, I used an acrylic primer. Let that dry prior. And now I'm going to stick the stone up. Push it on and give it a good wriggle. So all those little ridges collapse. And then if I pull it, there's nothing happening. It's not coming off. And that's just sitting on the wood there. And that's it. It's on. The slips are all installed now. We're really happy with how that's looking. I think it took about 5 or 6 hours all up. So we've got our little helper here. Helper Sunny. So we've just mixed Schoolhouse White into some water. I can't really tell you the ratio, we just kind of did it. And you can see we've done these ones just here. We haven't done those ones above. Soph's just working on this side. Just doing it with a paintbrush, and or you're using a sponge. Sunny's paintbrush, that is. So yeah, I mean, it looks a little bit different. It just kind of doesn't actually look, in real life, it's a lot lighter than what it is showing on the camera.
I think once the grout is it.
Yeah, and once the grout's in, it will all sort of merge together. Yeah, it's less orange and less dirty looking. It is now the following morning. We did all the whitewash last night. Not sure if you can tell a difference. I'll show you a before and after photo so you can see. But in our opinion, they are looking much less dirty and less red. Just kind of blending in with the room a little bit more. Obviously, it's a feature wall, but we don't want it to stand out too much. We want it to look reasonably natural. So I have moved on to the grouting of the cobblestone wall. It is quite challenging just to get the right consistency with the grout, because you want it to come out of the, I'm using a piping bag, I'll show you that in a second. You want it to come out quite easily, but it is, even though I've got the grout quite wet, it's still really hard to squeeze out. So it's quite hard on the hand. So I'm using this grout here, which was left over from our tiles. So it's going to be that color there, which I think will work really well with the cobblestone. It's kind of a light sort of beige color. And this is the consistency I'm going with. So it is like it is a bit like icing a cake, I suppose. Quite wet. I wouldn't have it that wet for the floor. And then I'm putting it into this piping bag. I got these bags off Amazon. You got 3 for around £10. They seem quite durable. So far, so good. I'm just using a paintbrush because I don't have an old spoon and I don't want to grab one out of the kitchen because I think that might upset my wife. So just scooping it in with this old paintbrush. So you basically just squish it out like you're icing a cake, I guess. Oh yeah, it's not easy to get out. I don't really want to cut that any bigger either at the end. The problem is, because this stuff only has a 45-minute pot life, it tends to dry up, so I can feel the part in the end there is quite hard. I'll have to get that out first. Let's try again. Alrighty, so yeah, I had to clear out quite a bit from the end because it had started to set from the last lot. And now you can see it's coming out much easier. Yeah, it's quite a workout. I think there's still some hard stuff in there. Let's try again. Third time lucky, maybe. Yep, okay. I really just get enough in there so that when I swipe my finger through, it fills the gap. You don't need it sort of massively overflowing out. But also, I guess it depends on the look you're going for as well. There is a few videos I've seen on YouTube where they are sort of like really overfilling and really bringing out the grout so it's almost flush with the stone. I guess it's just a different look that people go for. A lot of people do that and then they'll paint the whole wall, you know, white or whatever. But in this case, I just really want to put enough in so it looks like there's grout in there. this has been really hard to film and do at the same time. So I'm just going to show you what I've done here. Basically, after I piped it in, I'd wait about 10 minutes, and then I've gone through and just smoothed it out with my finger. So it still looks pretty rough. But I just remove any excess and smooth out what I can. And then in about 10 minutes, I'm going to go back over it with a wet paintbrush. And also the bits along the bottom here and along the top, I'll fill in at a later date with a very small paintbrush and just a diluted mixture of the grout. So you can see over here, this is starting to dry, and it dries a lot lighter than it is now. And this morning I am moving on to tiling the backsplash. So I'm just laying some paper down to protect the bench. I'm now about to apply some primer. And once that's dry, I'll lay out the first line of tiles across the bottom. After I've got that first line up, I'll show you how it's looking. I just realized one thing we haven't spoken about is this piece here. So it is a little bit of an eyesore in our kitchen now. It doesn't blend in like it used to. Oh, and I've just noticed there's an old tile up there that I'll need to get rid of just to remind us of what it used to look like. But what I'm going to do with this is basically build a case to go around it that is more in tune with the kitchen. So I'll throw some examples up on the screen, some inspo shots of what I'm after. But once the tiles are up, that's when I'll look at making the thing to go around it. And I suppose because it is just a case that's going around it, we can make it as big or small as we want, which is a good thing. So I'll be able to sort of look at the rest of the kitchen and see what size suits. I got a little bit carried away and I forgot to film. So I guess I'm almost halfway there. It seems to be going well. These tiles are quite forgiving because they aren't completely flush. They've got, a bit of character to them. I've not tiled before on a wall, so I just went by YouTube tutorials, what was written on the packet basically. But to be fair, it's actually been really easy, quite therapeutic. Just been listening to a podcast and working away at it. You can see here I have finished all the tiling on the backsplash, and we ended up stopping just before the PowerPoint, which I think looks reasonably neat. And now I'm moving on to the grout. Now I have done a little bit here just so you can see. I did this the other day just to check out the colour. And it really tones the whole wall down, which I'm pleased about because I felt like there was a bit too much contrast here. So if we went with a dark grout, that's what it would look like. But I really like that down in the corner there. And it will tie in well with this lighter wall as well. So the grout I'm using is this one. I think this is what was recommended by the tile company. So I ordered it, so I'm not too sure. Now, I'm not going to show you how I grout. I mean, I'm not a tile expert by any means, and there's heaps of excellent videos on YouTube, but I will show you what it looks like when I've finished. So I'll get stuck in, and I'll check back once it's done.
So we spent a little bit of time thinking about the paint color in here. So everything else in the house we've done has been in the Farrow and Ball Schoolhouse White. And we kind of, I think for a while, just assumed we would do that in here as well. But as we have realized how white, obviously, the tiles are behind me and the cabinetry, we realized it was going to be very bright, like a really white, which I think is, oh no, it's actually not up here. So we've been using a couple of different testers that we already had of Farrow and Ball, and we purchased a couple of extras, and we think we found the right color now. So this is Farrow and Ball Matchstick 2013, and it's a much more like yellowy undertone. Can they see this? Yeah, much more yellowy, but still nice and creamy. Cole wanted it to feel like a warm hug, which I think that one does. The Oxford Stone is nice, and it's obviously a more of a stony color, a bit browner, but it just felt a little bit cool to me, and I wanted it warmer and cozier. And Dimity just felt too white. So I think we're going to go with this colour. So the other exciting news now is that I've just heard the plasterer is going to be coming on Wednesday. Today's Monday, so in 2 days. And he's going to tidy up the area here so that we can paint and we can put our shelves up, and just needed a bit of touch up in some of the other parts of the kitchen. So that would be really good. And also the area where I scraped off the plaster with a butter knife a few months ago. So that's really good. And we're also going to be replacing out these sockets with brass, just like that one. I think Cole's going to order the paneling as well so that we can get that up. So we're going to get the same beaded paneling that we've got in the banquette for the dining room. And we're going to be paneling this area here and here as well. So as you come in these bits, so that's why we don't need to get them plastered, because they're going to be panelled. We're going to panel all along the splashback, and we will get the paint with the proper, whatever it's called, the right emulsion, so that you can wipe it. We will also be paneling the sides of this kind of weird, whatever that is. But what is it?
It just conceals the pipes.
It conceals the pipes, the pipe concealing. And then on the other side of the breakfast bar, we didn't get a back panel for it from DIY Kitchen because we knew we wanted it to match the paneling. And then that will be the majority of it done. We've got the exciting bit of putting up the shelves, putting the gallery rails on, and decorating with all the little bits and bobs that I've been purchasing over the last few months. I'm really excited to style those shelves. So thanks again so much for watching. It's so nice to see the comments. We really appreciate all the support. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and we'll have another one next week with the plaster and the new, what's it called? Matchstick paint colour. We'll see you soon in our newly plastered painted kitchen.